Hecate leaves in about a week, and I've been a little bit delayed, but we'll talk about Hecate and how she is. So let's just get started, hopefully to not make this video a little bit too long. So Hecate's whole purpose is to counter units that have immortality or have the ability to revive. So on paper, she should be able to counter high played units in the meta like Royal of Light, Maid Chloe, Spirit Isoline, Lady of the Scales, or literally anything with immortality that is placed in the front row, like your BBKs, maybe Ross is placed in the front row so you can't revive, pretty much all those good things. Now that of course is the paper thing that she is supposed to do, but unfortunately she does not inherently work for every mode. So let's just go through the different modes that she can possibly work for, because of the fact that she doesn't work everywhere that she's supposed to. Now for PvE content, of course, a character like her does not function that well outside of Auto Tower that has buffs for her, because she is a character that has full penetration with no crit. Generally, these characters are not that good because they do not have very high damage caps for PvE content. Instead, you want to get a crit DPS because they can push their damage a lot more higher, maybe into like the 50k ranges, you know. While for these non-crit characters, of course, they cannot do that high level of damage. Now her S3 does do like 30k in PvE still, so maybe it's fine for like Banshee, I guess. I've used it to farm Banshee just like a Friendship Farmer, and it felt pretty good, but once again, you're not going to get as much value compared to a crit DPS, so PvE content, not so much. Then, as for the PvP content, we can talk about Flag Arena. Now, any clips here usually will be from Flag Arena, and I'll play it here in case I don't put any clips up on screen here. But in Flag Arena, she is certainly very, very good. In Flag Arena, of course, this is where you have as much control as possible over the match that you're playing. So this way you can, since you have as much control as possible, you can literally use whatever team you like, and in this controlled environment, enough leeway to do what you like, right? So you can play whatever team comp and make your best team comp possible with Hecate in addition to it, and she should do a very good job of just absolutely just running down PvE Arena, because Scales is everywhere, Ross is everywhere, all these units that you don't like is everywhere, and she's certainly being able to counter Scales, which is the big problem unit, and being able to counter something like Setsuka, and it helps. Like, she's going to be everywhere, and all you need to do is simply just take high damage dealers with Hecate, and this will allow you to put whoever is the front line into very low HP range, right? And then hopefully your extra damage dealers will clean up and allow them to just completely just blow up whatever is in the front line, and boom, you just win, because now their front line that was protecting their team is dead, and then from there on out you just clean up, which is pretty much the whole game plan that you're using with Hecate, which is pretty good. Now, of course, without Warfare set, you can't just S3 turn 1, meaning you're forced to do something like just wait until you're ready to just press S3 into the recommended target, which is why for PvE Arena, where you can just use controlled comps, it becomes a lot easier, because all you need to do is just take your multiple DPS and just clean house. Now for Guild War, it's a little bit different because of the fact that once you're down one unit, but once again, because of the fact that we're in a controlled environment, you are actually in a very good spot in order to just do what you want. And the only difference is that you're down one unit, but once again, being in a controlled environment is pretty good for her. So you just choose who you like, and because of how common Lady of the Scales is and how common Bloodblade Corinne is, you just do what you want. And once again, no issue here. Now she's, once again, due to the fact that you're down one unit, it's going to be a little bit harder. So I would put like Arena S tier and Guild Wars maybe like A to B tier depending on what you're fighting. But for the most part, she is still very much usable in Arena. This is where we come to RTA, where the issue lies. She becomes a lot more harder to draft when Ilanov is on board. No surprise, she's a full pen unit, but it significantly makes it a lot harder when she is a highly played unit. So it makes Hecate harder to place into drafts, and so say you do take Ilanov away from your opponent. Now it just becomes an issue of she is just very counterable in many different ways. For instance, Lionheart Sirmia, due to the fact that you cannot skill 3 off of turn 1 as of right now because there's no Warfare set, you are forced to proc LHC turn 1, and since you're just going to get S3s ripped on you until the rest of your team is dead. In addition to that, she procs other units like you can Auden, or if you're fighting like a Maid Chloe, then your pop damage is reduced. But luckily, if you have Ilanov, most of the bulk of your damage, all you need to do is wait for your S3. But if they take something like Diane, then of course that's a problem. And the last but not least, the thing, if your opponent is playing more aggressive than you, it's going to be a problem because they'll just go ahead and kill her. She is exposed turn 1 with no stealth before she S1s, so if your opponent is playing a lot more aggressive than you, they're certainly going to just kill her. So those are like the inherent issues that pop up. Now, of course, people have been saying maybe she just needs her new set to come out, but I don't know how much of those issues it actually solves. If one of her inherent issues is if your opponent is playing more aggressive than you, she will die. Well, running Warfare set isn't going to change that. And indeed, it could be possibly slightly worse because, well, currently her best set is Speed set, so you can be slightly more aggressive, so you can take more turns. And of course, if you're not running Speed set, that means you're losing that Speed stat. So how much stats are you going to lose running Warfare set? Now, of course, Warfare set is going to be in Otherworldly Breach, meaning that you're going to be having more high quality gear come out more often, but once again, this still doesn't change the fact how much stats you're going to have to give up to do this, meaning you're either going to be slower, which means you're more prone to dying from not taking a turn, or maybe you're bulkier so you have to give up damage, or maybe, I don't know, maybe put some ER on your character. Either way, it's just a lot to give up, which is why I'm highly skeptical about saying Warfare set will fix this character. That being said, if you do want to play this character, I did prepare a little chart here where you can just take a look and see what you could use to pair with this character. Ahmed and Yulha felt great because you can cycle Hecate faster, meaning she can get to her S3 faster. Stealing Ilanov or Diane is pretty good, Diane being the better one because it gives Hecate attack buff early, meaning she's going to be doing more damage over time. Ilanov means you're taking it away from your opponent as well, it can just keep her alive. 10A is a dual attacker which allows you to pull Hecate to push her up as well as control your enemy so you don't have to worry about Hecate getting messed up. And of course, taking Renok means you just take Renok. Of course, these pairs are also pretty good, so you could take these as well. Do not pick into Ilanov. The biggest damage decrease I've seen was definitely Ilanov, because although yes, Maid Chloe is I think Maid Chloe is more of a soft counter because it only counters your S1 damage, but your pen damage is still there. So if you make it to your S3, you just soul burn, rip it, you kill your target. On the contrary, into Ilanov, yes, they also take pop damage, but you lose your big haymaker, which is your S3. Meaning she's mostly there just to stand there to prevent your opponent from picking any immortality or revivers. And if they're tanky enough, then you're just going to be doing nothing with Hecate. So you must beware not to pick into Emperor Ilanov. And these are a beware thing of things that can hard counter her. So just be careful of this. A free run she does do pretty well into because of her artifact, but you still have to be a little bit careful because if the free run is more aggressive than you, then you can still die. And these are some things that she's good against. Ravi is a little bit of an iffy because she has pen resistance in her passive, but on the contrary, Hecate does so much damage that even on a pen resist hit, she was able to do at least like 10 to 15k, or I think it was like 10k, like 13k, somewhere around there, which is still pretty good damage. Now yes, Ravis have like 30k HP, but if you play your match right, you can win against a Ravi. So anyways, that is pretty much it. Nothing much to really say about this character other than she is pretty much like not very good in RTA. very good for Arena, and very much usable for Guild War. As for any other content in the game, Tower is usable because she literally has a gear piece or whatever buff for there, so she works funk there, but otherwise no other PvE content really works for her. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.